On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacova's Nashville, at the Mall at Green Hills, or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacova's Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacova's. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, I'm joined by Jen Harbin, aka The Hungry Loner on Instagram, who's our latest food contributor covering Nashville's best new restaurants and bars in an ever-evolving article on our website. Today we're talking about her favorites from August and looking ahead to some of the spots that'll be added when her article updates tomorrow morning, as well as telling you the origin story of her foodfluencing. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacova's. It's Wednesday, September 18th. I'm Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about. So you debuted on the CityCast Nashville website last month with the best new restaurants and bars from August. What was your favorite on that list?
Yeah, let's talk about Butter Lamb,
awesome.
Bread and beverage. I feel like they're the new darling of Nashville. It's a wine bar and bread house, but I think they also represent something that's really special that you see here in Nashville is when partners make their dreams come true.
What's the story there?
Yeah, so Ben and Katie Rose Tyson, they're both seasoned hospitality veterans. Ben was a chef, or has been a chef in most of his career. Katie ran a hospitality group or agency, and you know, they're husband and wife. So it's just cool to see that they have, you know, both had successful careers independently, but are coming together to create something new and exciting.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's a great place to dine solo, very cozy and intimate, but it's also very lively. Like if you do dine there solo, you'll probably end up meeting quite a few people.
Cute. Yeah, it seems more kind of community vibe oriented. My understanding is that it is bread and wine.
Yes, exactly.
Just bread and wine. I definitely had many friends send that to me, being like, of course I want bread and wine.
I know who doesn't, right?
And I was like, have you read the Hungry Loners article on nashville.citycast.fm?
So wine, they offer by the glass or the bottle. Glasses range anywhere from, you know, like 12 to, you know, probably like 16 a glass. And then they have loaves of bread and also like stuff on toast, which is what...
Tell me about this toast.
Well, I'll talk about their bread first and then I'll kind of foray into the toast. So, so that, you know, their OG is sourdough, which they do really well, but then they offer different varieties too that are a little less traditional. So they have like konbu and fermented sweet potato, and then their stuff on toast, which I love. I had the mussels, which has like which you don't see very often, I feel like, on Nashville menus.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected that at all.
But it has mussels and fresh herbs and served warm. And I actually appreciate that they pre-cut in sections because if sometimes with toast, you have to, you know, like cutting it isn't really easy to do. It's kind of a mess. So I appreciate that detail.
Cool. Yeah. Is it like a kind of place, is it big enough for a group or is it a date night sitch?
It is big enough for groups. So they have outdoor, like grassy patio seating, and there are some spaces inside. There's actually a more communal type table, but I think it is definitely a cozier spot. So would recommend it for a date night as well.
Cute. Okay. Where exactly is it?
So it's in East Nashville, like in the new area. You know, where Switch Yards is actually over there. It's really close to that. Yeah. The new development.
Okay. How's parking? Not a pain in the butt?
No, parking is actually very easy over there. It's one of the few places in East you can find street parking pretty easily.
Sweet. Okay, I love to hear that. How about this Corey place? What's the deal there?
Yeah, so their first restaurant, their sister restaurant is Me Kitchen, which is in Franklin. And this is their new take on international tapas. So the owners are Korean, but they have French culinary backgrounds. So that really influences their approach to their like style of Asian food. So it is like more westernized international tapas. So the plates are, you know, shareable between 2 people. I highly recommend the cucumber salad, the kalbi dumplings, and the sticky ribs. The sticky ribs were excellent.
Yeah.
They were great. They also have these soju infused drinks that come like kind of like Capri Sun style. It's in a little pouch that lights up, which is a fun element to the experience. And the music was fun. I don't know, it's a really fun environment, actually. I really enjoyed it.
I appreciate how you said that it's shareable for 2 people because I hate when you go to a shared plates place and you get, you know, one thing of the shishito peppers and and then it comes out and you're like, I should have ordered 4 of the shishito peppers.
Yes.
So maybe that hints to it being more of a date night situation, or is it big enough for groups?
Definitely. It's definitely more, I would say, more of a date night situation. The atmosphere is more like date night.
And speaking of places that maybe have tiny plates, Fancy Pants, I read the word foam in your review. Can you tell me what is Fancy Pants like?
Yeah, I really love Fancy Pants. It's on Dickerson Pike, which is an area of East Nashville that's continuing to develop more, and you'll start to see more bars and restaurants open on that street. So it's, I think, ahead of the curve a bit. I think by having a more vegetable-centric menu with a play on fine dining is bold and risky, and I love that. I wish more people would kind of embrace that mindset. I also think we're lucky to live in a state where there are farms with incredible produce and vegetables that don't often get a spotlight. But at Fancy Pants, they do. So some dishes that they have that really explore, I feel like, vegetables in new ways. So they have like a turnip noodle lasagna. That's the one with the Parmesan foam. Which sounds, like anytime I see foam on a menu, I'm like, oh gosh, like really. But it's subtle, but like it's very flavorful. So it's just a nice like hint. It's kind of, you'd have to kind of experience to really get it, but it's good.
So is that on kind of the more experimental side, just flavor profile wise?
Yes, well, I mean, it's interesting because I think the presentation of it is experimental, but the flavors, it's very much like lasagna. Like it's just happens to be turnip noodles, which, if that makes sense.
Is it true that that's a fixed menu situation or a chef's menu?
Yes, so it is a prefix menu, but they also have what they call bonus like items, which is like a starter. And then they do have a steak that I saw last time when I went. And so, don't worry, if you must have meat, it is there. and the dessert, do not pass up. Their pastry chef is super talented, and they have this funfetti cheesecake, which is just phenomenal.
Oh,
yes,
yeah, I saw a photo of that, I think, on your article, and it looks so good.
It is very good.
How do you feel about fixed menu stuff? Would you rather go a la carte, or do you mind in this kind of scenario?
I am open to both. Sometimes I just want to go to a restaurant and have someone, give me their best and present that to me in a way and let me just kind of, sit in the seat and just like enjoy the ride kind of thing. Sometimes I want to drive the experience more, but I actually appreciate a prefix menu sometimes when I dine out. The owners also have Butcher and Bee and Redheaded Stranger, which so that's that kind of builds, I feel like, their credibility and trust to allow this new concept to explore.
No, 100%. Yeah. No, that's a great point. Cool. So since this is Fancy Pants, I'm assuming it's expensive.
It is a bit on the pricier side, but the portions, I will say, are pretty large or decent size. Like they're honestly, even though an individual will order it could honestly feed 2 people. But it runs about $70. And then of course, if you add extras like drinks and bonus items, dessert, that can easily run you up to $100.
How are the drinks?
Oh, the drinks are phenomenal, actually. They have a gin cocktail. I love gin, but not myself. The spirit. Just kidding.
I love gin too.
But yes, their cocktails are phenomenal. They're very balanced. Some are spirit forward, some are more refreshing. But their bar program and the experience actually at the bar, which is where I sat, is actually like very, very nice. They're very attentive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some drinks. First off, on the alcoholic side, Coral Club. Coral Club, to me, entering it feels like I'm going into a Flintstones exhibit at Disney World, which is not to say that it's bad. It's just to say that it is experiential. How do you feel about Coral Club?
I actually really love it because it feels different than what I would typically find in Nashville. I know what you mean. There's a lot of stone and the interior, but I find the stone and, the neutral hues actually nice and calming. It does feel a bit like I would be on a Mediterranean vacation. So I do like that aspect of it. It's honestly just very beautifully designed. The drinks are phenomenal. Again, this is one of those little details. The ice in the drinks is small and compact so that when your ice melts, it doesn't just water down your drink. So it's a small detail that I actually really appreciate in their drinks.
They have a pretty solid happy hour too. I had a margarita at their happy hour the other day and it was cheap. How about Forevermore?
Yes. So Forevermore is a new coffee shop in town. It's again on the east side. So it's a husband and wife, and they lived in Uganda and really fell in love with the process of making coffee, and then brought that love and passion to here. They really focus on sustainability and supporting local businesses. And so they actually have a space within their coffee shop that has, like locals can grab a drink. They can, shop curated like collections of different like jewelry or clothes and home decor. So it's a really fun space. They have a NOLA, like New Orleans slush, which is really it's like a New Orleans style cold brew, which I really recommend. It's very good.
So all of these are in East Nashville. Mm-hmm. Why do you think we have so many new places opening up over here?
East Nashville tends to have a younger demographic, and a younger demographic who likes to go out to eat and go to bars. And so I think that's just, better for their business.
Yeah, maybe just like ever so slightly trendier in that kind of way.
Yes, very trendy. It's always been, I feel like East Nashville's always been a bit of a trendier. The hipsters.
Yeah. The hipsters, including me. We're back with Jen Harbin, aka The Hungry Loner. So your September list comes out on our website tomorrow. That's nashville.citycast.fm. Can you give us a sneak preview of what to expect?
Yes. So Choi, which is actually a new Chinese American restaurant that's really changing up the Asian food scene here in Nashville. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of Asian restaurants in Nashville westernize their dishes quite a bit instead of incorporating different produce or ingredients from the region. But they really focus on nostalgic Chinese American flavors, but they leverage Tennessee ingredients. And they also have this like grand dining room, which feels like again like you're kind of not in Nashville anymore.
What are some menu highlights for that?
Yes, so their scallion pancake is a must. It is
a little sangyo bing.
Yes, it is. Mwah, chef's kiss. It is so good. Mwah. They also have their Peking duck. So it's a whole roast duck. Comes with these bao buns, and you like it's kind of like you make your own little duck bao bun. It's phenomenal. It's really, really good.
And you have to reserve the Peking duck in advance.
Yes, you do. It does take, I forget the timing, but yes, you do have to order it ahead of time.
Okay, cool. Yes. So keep that in mind if you want the $100 duck.
Yes. Yes. It is I will say it's large, so it is shareable. So definitely, this is definitely a group place, a place good for groups.
I'm really looking forward to checking that out. I think that'll be really delicious. That's in the Gulch, right?
Yes, it's in the Gulch, exactly.
Okay, cool. So maybe that's an Uber destination.
I would recommend definitely ride sharing.
Cool. What else is coming up?
Also want to talk about 888. So Asian food is really growing in Nashville. I'm seeing a lot more places open up, which is really exciting because I feel like there hasn't been as much Asian food outside of Nolensville Pike for a long time.
Yeah.
So again, this is, a new kind of experience where their focus is on sushi, inspired by Japan's jazz kisses. So they also have this really amazing audio system. They play vinyl records as part of the experience. So it's really just a cool experience to have both, restaurant and then this vinyl listening experience as part of your meal.
Okay, that's really cool. Any menu highlights there?
Yes, their okonomiyaki is fantastic. They have a Wagyu katsu sando.
What is that?
Great question. I don't know really how to describe it. It has it's.
How do you eat it?
You eat it well. Yeah, they have chopsticks, but you can't eat it. You could technically eat it with your hands if you wanted to. It's round and it's breaded, and then there's pork candy on top, which is like those little bits of pork. It's delicious.
Okay, that's all I really needed to know. How about drinks there?
The drinks are really good. I've had the sparkling sake specifically. I didn't get a chance to try all the different cocktails, but the drinks are really good. Of course, the sushi rolls are phenomenal. They have a really talented sushi chef who has 20 years of experience there. So definitely recommend the sushi when you go.
Love it. We're really excited to be working with you on this, but I also want to introduce people to you a little bit. Can you tell me when you started The Hungry Loner?
So I moved back to Nashville right before the pandemic. And after businesses started opening back up, I really noticed how much the food scene had changed from bar food and barbecue that I remember from living here. I went to places like Locust and Audrey and Peninsula, and I just really couldn't believe these kinds of places were in Nashville. And I wanted to keep exploring. And the reality is when you move back somewhere, you don't necessarily pick back up with your friends where you left off. So most of my friends from living here long ago are married and they have kids, and they don't really go out to eat as a hobby like I do. And, the Hungry Learner is really about inspiring you to go explore the world by yourself. And the word hungry is more, I guess, like, I know it implies food in most people's minds, but really it's a frame of reference for just like wanting more out of life.
You go to these restaurants by yourself? I
do most of the time. I will say that as I've grown and done this for longer, a lot of people want to like go out to eat with me. And sometimes, I like want someone to be there so I can order more food items. But I find when you dine by yourself, you actually experience the food and the atmosphere differently because you're really zoomed in on like all the details and like the experience and being present. Whereas when you're with someone, you're focused more on them and the conversation.
No, I totally get that. I really love traveling alone, which means that I eat alone a lot.
Right.
Do you, like, when you say that you're like more in the moment or whatever, do you sit on your phone or like read a book, or do you actually just sit there and think about food and eat food and then pay a bill?
I pull out my notebook and no, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I am on my phone, I will say, but other times I start talking to guests, and sometimes guests will start talking because a lot of the times when I'm eating by myself, I mean, this happened at Fancy Pants, actually. There was a couple sitting next to me celebrating his wife's birthday, and we got to talking, and then next thing you know, we're talking for like, a good 45 minutes. And, sometimes I just observe the restaurant and I'll talk to maybe the bartender, or that's another thing is it depends on where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And who I engage with. But that's usually, I've never like read a book at a
I so have.
Yeah?
I so have. Just out of awkwardness or like I don't know, like I want people to know I'm purposefully there and didn't get stood up or something like that. Do you sit at the bar a lot?
I do. I sit at the bar mostly because I feel bad like taking up a table. I mean, I think it's it's okay, but I just if it's just easier for me to sit at the bar by myself, then I'll just do that. Or sometimes that's been to my benefit sometimes, because if you come to a restaurant and they're fully booked and there's no seats, but the bar is available, that's usually a good way to get in.
Okay, last question. Are there any pop-ups that we should keep an eye out for that are your favorites around town right now?
Yeah. One that I really love that is actually popping up for the remainder of the year is Scoots, like biscuits, but Scoots. And they're actually running a pop-up out of Eastside Banh Mi on Sundays, most Sundays. And their biscuits are phenomenal, but they also have different variations of biscuit sandwiches like brisket, or they have this zucchini fritter with jalapeno jam, or a chicken biscuit or gravy biscuit. So they have a lot of different variations and they're phenomenal.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jen. We can't wait to read your article on our site tomorrow, and we'll be sure it's featured in the Hey Nashville newsletter too, so everyone can see it and get hungry right when they wake up. It's really exciting to collaborate with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And hey, don't go anywhere. In just a second, our executive producer, Whitney Pasterek, will be walking a mile in the boots of Trinity Community Commons Director Zach Likens, sponsored by Tecovas.
Hey, I'm CityCast Nashville executive producer Whitney Pasterek here with Zach Likens, the executive director of Trinity Community Commons. Zach, thank you so much for being here.
Whitney, thanks for having me. I'm pumped.
What is Trinity Community Commons?
Trinity Community Commons is a neighborhood nonprofit in East Nashville, transforming an historic United Methodist Church building into a vital community gathering space for all our neighbors. We want to show radical hospitality to everyone, especially those who are typically excluded from community life, so that we can all build authentic, life-giving relationships together.
How did you get connected with this organization? And it's a building, right? This is a building you're talking about.
Yeah, the organization does happen to own and operate out of an old Methodist church building at the corner of Trinity Lane and Meridian in East Nashville. And I got introduced 4 or 5 years ago because I got invited by a neighbor to a community dinner. And I came into a community dinner and saw the most diverse group of people I'd ever seen in Nashville breaking bread. And what was really remarkable is that it included neighbors who typically were not welcome at these kinds of gatherings. They were experiencing homelessness. They were clearly materially poor, but they were treated like equals. They were treated like honored guests, and it just won my heart. It was awesome. So that's how I got introduced to Trinity 4 or 5 years ago.
So let's walk a mile in your boots. What do you do every day?
I wake up and I have mornings with Elsie, our 8-month-old daughter. So I get to spend time with her in the morning before going to work. And then I'll spend some time either at Trinity with neighbors doing community gardening or community builds. We're kind of transforming what used to be an empty outdoor lawn space into like a vital community gathering space. So we build there, we garden there. And then on Tuesdays, we'll kind of set up in the afternoon for a community dinner. And that's something that neighbors create for each other. So it's not a soup kitchen. There's not one side of volunteers serving the poor. It's not a restaurant. You're not going in and paying for food. It's something that all neighbors, rich and poor, across race and class lines, create and set up together. So we'll set up for that. We'll bring in some food. The National Food Project provides a lot of this food. They're a great partner. And then we'll sit down and break bread together. And the whole goal of the event is relationship building, especially with neighbors who are different than you. So we put on name tags, we sit with people we don't know, we build those relationships so that outside of events at Trinity, everyone is enmeshed in like a really rich network of friends and neighbors who know them, who know their name, who know their story, who can love and support them well.
Can you talk a little bit about some of your other programming and what you hope to see this grow into?
Absolutely. So every program is, again, it's all about connecting people in relationship. It just takes a different form. So on Thursdays, we also have a community farmers market. It's neighbor-led. We're sourcing local food. Neighbors who are growing or producing or baking things can sell there, and neighbors can buy and connect with neighbors at the markets. We also partner with a lot of other organizations to host events there too. We're really fortunate that we own and have a building. And I know a lot of nonprofits struggle to find space to host their programs. So we partner with a bunch of different groups who do things we're not great at because we can't do everything. And they provide awesome activities, services, events in our space together. So one of the reasons why we do things together, like building tables, building garden beds, is that when you work together with your neighbor with a shared goal, something that makes your community better, builds really great relationships, but it also communicates something really valuable to neighbors in need. It tells them, hey, you're not just a passive recipient of aid. You're an active, creative, capable member of this community, and we need you. We value your gifts as an equal. And you did mention, like, well, what do you want the building to be eventually? A couple of years ago, there was a really unfortunate fire in the sanctuary of the building, and there's still a lot of repairs that need to be done before we can use the sanctuary space, all the classroom and office space. And so we are working on plans for the restoration and the redevelopment of the property to continue to be community space that welcomes all people. We don't have the funding for it yet. And so we are working with partners right now to come up with what is the best use of this space at a really important location in Nashville, close to downtown on 2 transit lines that can serve our neighbors most in need and continue to keep them in this community as neighbors and equals.
CityCast Nashville is about the news, but it's also about giving people great recommendations. So where do you go to relax or have fun when your day serving your community is done?
Oh, so my wife and I live in East Nashville. We love Shelby Bottoms. It's the closest place we can go to get away from traffic, to get into nature. It's beautiful for picnics and walks. So we go there a lot. We love gardening. My wife and I, really, it's Rachel. She's an urban flower farmer. We flipped our front and backyards to be like full-on gardening space. And we farm in a couple neighbors' yards too. And it's been a great way to meet neighbors, relax after work.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for being here. Again, y'all, it's Trinity Community Commons. You can check out trinitycommunitycommons.org to learn more. We'll have that link for you in our show notes as well, so you'll be just a click away. Thanks for listening. And Zach, thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Whitney.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Go check out Jen's article on our website, nashville.citycast.fm. And if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye!